What's up, guys? It's Zach, and welcome to my first solo pod on the G Pod. First off, I just want to say Happy New Year, 2024. I'm recording this January 2nd. It's 11:20 a.m. Eastern Time. And yeah, I'm just wanting to start this year off by dropping a podcast on a topic that I've been thinking of. It's been on my mind for the better part of almost a year now. And I think it's a very unique topic that has hardly ever been discussed or hardly ever been, explored in the Kendama space. And that topic is where physical training fits into Kendama. Now, I think for some people, fitness, working out, all of that has an image, maybe a negative connotation and a stigma to it. That is, for some people, when you hear me say that, you're thinking of going balls to the wall in the gym 6 days a week, murdering yourself for 2 to 3 hours straight. And then you got a meal prep, chicken, broccoli, rice 5 times a day. Some of you guys think that. I'm sure are thinking that right now when I even mention working out in a sentence. It's not what I'm talking about. It's not where I'm going with this. Um, that direction is completely, for the very, very, very few who choose to do that and choose to, train at that intensity. This podcast is not going to be about that. It's going to be about the why I think canola players should train, how they can do it, and what I think can be a benefit from doing it. And if you stick to the end of the podcast, I'll tell you exactly what you can do to get a free program that can be done 20 to 30 minutes or less from home with zero equipment. And it's something that I think can complement canola play fantastically, if that's a word. Fantastically. Yeah. All right, let's get into it. Why Kendama players should do some sort of physical training, um, should incorporate it in their routine. I just want to look at other sports real quick. Basketball, football, soccer, tennis. It's obvious that people train in the gym as a supplement to these sports. In this case, training is, exactly that, supplementation. And it helps people become stronger, jump higher, move better, get faster, bulletproof them, make sure they're as injury proof as possible. Well, those who train smart, that's what it's going to be. All for the sake of preparing themselves for their sport in some way. Now, I know that Kendama is much, much less physically demanding than sports like this, but it does place demands on your body. Knees, hips, backs, ankles, shoulders. I've even had when I've been going for a quad tap to a quad cable to a quad tap, um, I could feel my tricep get a little bit sore, which was super interesting. That was almost 4 years ago now. But yeah, that was super interesting experience. And yeah, your knees, back of the knee, calf maybe, low back, all of these things. Kadama as a whole is a form of low intensity, full body movement or full body exercise. And what could training do for Kadama players as a form of supplementation, just like athletes who play much more physically demanding sports use training as supplementation for their sport. And, when it comes to training, I think some people may think that it's not necessary. You don't need to be muscular and jacked and super conditioned to play Kendama. That's absolutely correct. You don't need to. You don't actually need to do that to be able to physically play or even to reach a pretty good level. You honestly don't. You could be super out of shape and be skilled and be objectively skilled at Kendama. But let's just take a second to analyze the past grades. Let's analyze all the top players in the world right now. Let's analyze all the past top players at their greatest moments. I'm talking about Bonz, Nick, Bryson, Stodd, Jake Fisher, Takia, Yasu. Wyatt is a good example of this. And you can see these kids in Japan nowadays, Ryoga, Maharu, Saki. You guys might not Maybe you guys know her. She's on Dream Kendama. What do all these players have in common? Well, they make Kendama look easy, right? How did he save that? How did he get to that? Man, he makes it look so easy. It's so beautiful to watch that person play. If you look at Bonds' old freestyles, I'll actually link one in the comments of this video in the description. He uses his body. He's very mobile. He's very strong in these certain positions and get into these ranges of motion where it's actually super beneficial for Kendama play. You think about somebody who needs to save a lighthouse, right? It needs to save a lunar, juggling, and to get a spike, they need a sidestep or like move their feet or catch up to the Kendama by quickly reacting to it. Not every player is doing that. And I think you can recognize that when you watch these people play versus the average player. The average player isn't moving as well. And it's slight. It can be a slight difference or a marginally bigger difference depending on, who you're comparing who to. But there's no doubt that it makes a difference. Takia when Takia plays, he keeps it very, very tight and concise in front of him. But if he needs to save something, he's no problem jolting forward to save it. A lighthouse, getting down super low to save a spike. Maybe he's going for like 4J insta in, add it into a juggle, into like a 10 tap. It just looks, all these players have very, very fluid motions or had fluid motions when they're at the peak of their game. And it didn't matter if they were in literally physically, like their physique was in objectively great shape. That actually doesn't matter as much. It's mostly the, I mean, that'll obviously help, but it's actually mostly their movement capabilities, right? All I'm talking about here is movement capability. And it's no doubt that every great player in the past and now, truly great players, have all had these movement abilities. These are the clues that we can dissect from them, right? More than exceptional technique, more than thousands of hours put into the game. It's the way these players move, how low they get, how quick they react, everything I just mentioned. It's just second nature to them, They're not thinking about it. They're fully free movement wise. And in the most crucial moments of a trick, this ability may be the make or break between landing and not landing a trick. I can't tell you how many times, guys, that I spent watching Kendama events and freestyles where people are saving juggles and getting down super, super low. I mean, we all watch freestyle Kendama where it's like, how on earth that person saved that juggle, or how on earth did you watch an edit and you're like, how did he get to that? You're like, how did that lighthouse actually land? He's so low. The tom is right. He's in a squat position. His tom is literally below his knee, and he still saved the lighthouse. These things, that we look at that only happen for actually a split second in Kendama. They're not. It's not like when players are doing this. It's like a showcase of athleticism. That is longer than that is actually like a showcase in the sense where it's like 5 seconds, 10 seconds where you're focusing on it. No, it's just a part of Kendama play. And that is the best part, but it's also a part that gets overlooked. And not really, and because of that, it's not, thought about that much. All the things these top players are thinking about is Kendama. Not any pain, any discomfort while playing, just Kendama and what they can do to maximize their chances of getting the trick. They're dialed in on only Kendama doing the trick, and they're not distracted by any pain or discomfort, or I can't go into this, I can't bend my back like this, I can't bend my knees too hard, I can't go down as fast. They don't care about that because it's not a problem for them. They have the capability to move in these certain ways. And the best players are the ones who, through history, have been able to move fluidly. And that's what we all really like about the top players, right? They make them look super easy. They're extremely fluid. And that's just simply not the case with every player. And that's how, this fluidity that's how it should be, right? That's how it should be. That is the level of Kendama that anybody, I think, would be a great goal to aspire to reach. And the good news is that level of fluidity is achievable for anyone to work towards. It's Some people have it naturally, some people don't, but it is very, very, very possible to reach the level of fluidity with, some effort, with consistent effort. And I believe that can be reached through training, using certain movements to expand your range of motion, get stronger in these longer ranges of motion, get more comfortable, get out of pain, And by doing so, enhancing the fun you're having with Kendama and also enhancing the possibilities of what you can do with Kendama. Again, I'm not saying training is going to make you, it's not going to make you a better Kendama player technique wise, skill wise. It's not going to, you have to play Kendama to be better at Kendama. Simple as that. But training is going to open up opportunities for you in crucial moments that you might notice. And if you're in pain and you come out of pain, you'll be able to notice instantly that you'll be able to do things in Kendama that before just weren't happening naturally for you. The lengths that your body will go to complete a trick will be completely different. You'll be able to reach for more in comparison to if you don't train. And if you're in pain or you can't, or if you know deep down yourself that you can't move that well, this is for you. And even if you are a player who can move well, training is still for you because it's not guaranteed for the rest of your life. And I'm going to back up a little bit and actually talk about once I realized this um, back almost a year ago now, let's say 9 months ago. 9 months ago, I started to make Instagram videos about this topic, about simple moves you can do from home that will get your knees right. The first video I made actually got a huge response, and that along with a lot of views, likes, and comments of support, but also a lot of DMs and comments of, man, my knee pain is so bad when I play Kendama. I have such bad lower back pain. Thank you so much. And I kind of got alarmed. I got alarmed because I was like, wow, really? Like I've been lucky to, I've been someone who prioritizes training and ever since September 2021, really, really took into consideration and started working on my knee health, back health, ankles, everything up from the ground up to make sure I have a really healthy and mobile body and strong body. And so I wasn't experiencing pain while playing Kendama. But to hear that all of these other players, that there were actually way more than I thought. I'm talking 50 to 100 people over the span of a couple months reached out to me and said, "Hey, like I'm in pain." Like I stopped. Some people even said I actually even stopped playing Kendama because my back couldn't take it anymore. And that's horrible. I was absolutely shocked at how many players said they were in some form of pain. It's just a bad thing to hear, when you play Kendama, like that's a fun outlet. That can be anything a person wants to be, but more likely than not, it's a super fun outlet for everybody. And when you're doing the thing you love, when you're doing the thing that brings you joy and a really good feeling of happiness, and it's just an incredible sensation to do. When you're doing that in pain, that can take away from it. No, I don't even think, I'm not even going to say the word can. It does. It does take away from that experience and add, because there is negativity right there, right? Like naturally, none of us want to be in pain like that. But if that's happening when people are playing Kendama, I think that just sucks to hear. So I kept making these videos, and the more I made these videos, the more, yeah, I felt like I was helping people. But the more messages I got that people were like, man, like thank you so much. I've been in pain forever, or I just can't figure my ankle out, can't figure my knees out, my hips suck. Um, yeah. So basically, what I'm trying to illustrate for you guys is that this is a real thing. This is a real thing, and to play Kendama and thinking about pain, it wastes your energy and focus. It's overall limiting what you can achieve as a Kendama player, and these things are reversible. This pain that people come to, it doesn't have to be, the same thing that the classic saying when you're younger and you're talking to an older person who is literally 30 or 40, and they're like, once you get to my age, things change, or they talk about how it's so nice it is to be young and you can do whatever you want, but as you get a little older, you're gonna have these gray hair and like messed up back and messed up hips and all this stuff. And well, the gray hair might be true. It's not an inevitable, it's not an absolute that you're going to be in pain. You know, these people haven't realized that the body is an adaptation machine. Your body's going to adapt to whatever you tell it to do. Most of these people aren't putting in conscious thought for, taking care of themselves. So, and mix that with modern life, very tight promoting, just sit down all day, hips are super tight, Once your hips get super tight, lower back, you're bent over all day, shoulders, neck, posture goes out the window. Modern life just does this to us over time. If you're not putting intentional effort into reversing that, into strengthening against that, then of course your body's just going to, default into these ways where you are now in pain, you're now in discomfort. And when I think all of us want to play Kendama for a long time, right? No pain, discomfort's going to be no pain or discomfort is going to make any good out of that. It's not going to add to us wanting to play Kendama. It's going to take away from it. And if you're a player who takes Kendama really seriously, and I'll get to the other side of that spectrum in a second, of people who take it less intensely, but if you're someone who takes Kendama super seriously and you don't have these capabilities already, but even if you do and you aren't doing anything with the intent to keep them, I'm going to say it again. I already said it, but they won't stay around forever just because you wish them to. And you're leaving potential in the tank of the player. One, if you can't move as fluidly as the top players already, you're leaving definitely potential in the tank. But if you are fluid in your motion and fluid in your play, and you're not working on it, you're not working on strengthening muscles and maintaining this ability and actually building your ability with this, you're leaving potential in the tank too, because over a longer period of time, you're going to lose it. Although gradually, you're going to lose it and lose it, and who knows what might happen? You might life happens and you could do a misstep or have an accident happen to you that would change your movement ability, stepping off a step or slipping or falling and playing a sport or some way. It's you want to be prepared for anything so that you can stay strong and fortify your body as much as possible so you can play kendama for as long as possible. And the reason this matters is because once you play over time, the more time you put into kendama, right, the better you get. And the longer you can play Kendama without pain, without discomfort, the longer sessions you can have, and the better you'll get, and the more longer you'll be able to play over time, and you'll just get way better. That's just what it is. And then to go on the other side of the spectrum for people who, you don't identify as somebody who wants to get super good, or you this is very much more casual for you. You just purely like to enjoy yourself with the people and not think about getting better or progressing. It's not really at the forefront of your mind. You kind of just do it because you really really enjoy it, which is awesome. Why is it? How does this apply to you? Well, I want to say right here that actually training for kendama is very very similar to training for life. I talked about modern lifestyle already and how we're just the modern lifestyle is designed for us to become weak, become tight, and have just generally lower qualities of life the older we get. Sitting down, shoulder rounding posture, all the time, not moving that much, all of this stuff, tight hips, tight back, low back pain. It's happening at younger and younger ages. I'm sure all of us have known people who are just turned 20 or even under 20 who have like, oh man, my back's messed up. My back is, screwed. Or my hips, my hips are bad. I have really bad hips. I have bad knees. All these are happening at younger and younger ages. It's actually incredible in the worst way possible. It's incredible. And it doesn't have to be like that. When you train for Konami, you train for life, you'll combat modern lifestyle and you'll be better off for your whole life, not just for Konama. As I said earlier, Konama is very, very low intensity, low impact, but it is a full body thing. When you see a player who can move fluidly like this, you're going to be able to say with full confidence that they're going to be able to move through life without any worries, going upstairs, running, playing sports, sprinting, climbing hills, climbing. It's going to be easier for them as to where if you see somebody who can't play Kendama as fluidly, you can kind of already infer that they might have a harder time with this stuff. It still could be possible for them, but they're just going to have a harder time. It's just what the input is in your brain, right? Like when I see somebody play, I'll give you an example. We've all seen people play Kendama. We've all likely taught somebody how to play Kendama, right? Many times, hundreds of times. Some people, when they play Kendama for the first time, you can actually almost tell you can get a good sense of their like athleticism in the first like 3 seconds. You know, you can get, it's not going to tell the whole story, of course, but you can kind of get a level of their their comfortability to move through space and also, of course, their coordination and cognition. But some people, when they play Kendama for the first time, they're super, super stiff. They can't really bend over that much. They can't move that well with their feet in reaction to, landing the ball in the cup. They definitely aren't using their knees, and they continue this way after you tell them these tips. Especially after the first three tries, you're telling them these tips, bend your knees, cushion it, do a little mini squat, and they still aren't doing it, or you can tell they're trying and it's just not working. You can kind of tell that this is going to be a harder endeavor for them, right? Like getting big cup, spike, and progressing in Kendama, that's going to be harder for them. And of course, I understand that there's a coordination aspect and getting a muscle memory aspect that's, you know, improving every single time they fail an attempt. But let me bring over the next example. When you give a Kendama to, a person who looks like in decent shape, but also right as you give them it, they already are bending their knees. They already are, chasing the ball down a little bit with their feet. They're also already, slapping that slight bend in their back. That's like super comfortable. They're not stiff. They're very loose. You can just kind of tell that you're at this point, when you see these from people, you're already getting the next trick in your mind, the next challenge in mind, because in the next three attempts, they're going to get big cup and you're going to have to give them another challenge because that was super easy. Meanwhile, some people take 5 minutes to get big cup, 5 minutes to get spike, and then definitely to progress on to other tricks. These people are going to be able to get big cup in 20 seconds, 30 seconds. And, why is that? Their coordination is better, but also look at them when they're playing. It's instantly noticeable almost within 3 seconds of attempting. You can kind of see how easy it is going to be for them. And these are the people that I'm like, dude, this person has a lot of talent for Kendama. Do I know that for a fact? No, not really. But everything they're showing me with their body and how they're playing is telling me that, because they're just be able to, they're able to move better. They're able to move better. And they're modifying their body angles with each attempt. It's beautiful, and it's awesome. You can get through an entire session with these guys or girls in 15 minutes and show them like six to 10 tricks. It's amazing. Their experience playing Kendama is better in terms of, landing tricks. They had a lot more fun because they did more tricks. They had a lot more success. And then to zoom out of that entirely, who has the better quality of physical life? It's the person who has an easier time playing Kendama. And if you can't play Kendama comfortably, pain free for the rest of your life, obviously you would want to be able to play like the second avatar, right? And if you can play comfortably and pain free right now, that's amazing. But if you couldn't, that would suck, right? And if you've had any injury before, if you ever gone through breaking a bone, your legs in a cast, your arms in a cast, you need crutches, you need, something when you can't play at your full ability, when something takes away from you, break a finger and something inhibits your ability to play Kendama. You know exactly what I'm talking about. That sucks. You're literally handicapped. I had crutches for 7 weeks. I was really lucky that my right leg was still functioning, because then I could balance because I'm right-handed Kendama player. But I couldn't bend. I couldn't get down low for tricks. I couldn't move to save a trick. It was very stationary, and I was handy. I couldn't play with the best of my ability, right? And obviously that's an extreme example, but that type of movement inhibitance is possible to achieve if you don't take care of yourself. Playing Kendama does a pretty good job of, reminding your body that you're doing these movements. But if that's all it took, then why are people still messaging me and saying they're in pain with their knees, their hips? What can I do to get better? This is inhibiting my play. This is inhibiting my life. Why is this happening still? And if you can play Kendama comfortably, pain free for the rest of your life, you're in a great condition compared to the vast majority of people as you get older. Think about it. You're already on a superior level. You're already on an amazing level coordination wise. You are absolutely going to be knocking other 50, 60, 7-year-olds out of the water if you play Kendama for the rest of your life. It's not even going to be a competition. You're going to be able to do so many things. Your brain's going to be working on a higher level. Your cognition is going to be insane. And if you can play Kendama fluidly, how many 67-year-olds can play where they're bending up and down fluidly and they're have no problem or no inhibitants when playing Kendama. That is possible. However, I don't know anybody who's 60 or 70 who can do that. Literally nobody. I've never met anybody who can do that who's in that age range. But it is possible. It's not that doesn't mean it's impossible. It's just the fact that Kendama hasn't been around long enough yet to see that this is possible. And that's the next point I want to get into. Players in Kendama have not been playing for that long on a large scale. Let's just take it back to the not the first documented piece of Kendama on the internet, but the first, I'd say, first notable one. One of the very first notable pieces of Kendama on the internet. 2008, Konami USA made their first video on YouTube. Konami USA used to be the biggest company in the United States. It was for many years. And that was their first video on YouTube. It was a tour, I think, in Japan with a couple rollerbladers. And yeah, it's been a long time since I watched a video, but I think it was that. 2008. All right. It's 2024. That is 16 years. And that is not that long. Let's go. Let's keep going into the. That is not that long. Let's keep going. 2010, Sweets Canamas came into existence. Barely anybody in the worldwide even started playing at this point. But at 2010, it started to get traction in the US slowly but surely. 2012 kind of was blowing up. That's when I got into it. 14, 15, 16. It's just been a progressive since there, in the world. 2010, 14 years ago. I've been watching Messi on TV just wreck wherever he's playing, Spain, France, for on TV for way longer than that. 16 years is really no time at all. There's only been a handful of pro players who were in it for, let's say, 7, 8, 9 years, but just now are kind of getting out of it, kind of being way more relaxed, not as active. They've been out for 6 months, 1 year, two, maximum 3 years now. It's just now happening to players who would already been playing for 7, 8 years, plus long enough to actually have a career, if you want to call it. A career, their economic career. And the reason I bring this up is because Konami is still so new. 16 years, the game has been elevated time and time again, trick wise, and it's going to continue like that at even a faster rate, I'd say now, with these Japanese players. They're amazing. They're absolutely incredible. They're breaking the game. But what else can be developed, What's going to bring Konami to the next level? What else is there? What else is there? I truly believe that physical maintenance and physical development does have a place in Kendama and will keep players in the game for a long time, which will enable them to be able to play Kendama for a long time. Going back to what I was saying about players who have been kind of stopping, I know players who've had back problems. Jake Fisher has had a back problem, and I think that was a huge contributor into why he stopped playing, why he stopped playing as frequently. I heard recently that Bonz has a back problem. That's not fun, These players are amazing players, and of course, I don't know what happened with them, but maybe their interest shifted. But you don't, the worst thing in the world, and for those who played sports, and you see it on the TV all the time, people out with ACL injuries, out for the season, out for 6 months, 8 months, out for 4 weeks. Nobody wants to be out on something they love doing, Nobody wants to be forced to be out on what they love doing or forced to be hindered. That sucks. But if that happens and you have a chronic pain, you have pain in your knees, back, it's not an end all be all. You don't have to, it's not it for you. You know, Training, this is where training comes in. With training your body for Kanama for life, you can get back to a pain-free, comfortable moving ability that'll enhance everything you do in your life. And of course, it will enhance your Kanama play too. And imagine this. How good could you get over time if you were healthy enough to stay in the game with Kanama? How good could a person possibly get? You look at these players now who are literally 12 years old and better than 99.9% of players on the planet from Japan. Imagine they keep playing for 40 years, 30 years. How good could they get? How good could you get? How many more years of Kanama play could you have if you simply put in the work to, maintain the physical health of your body? That would guaranteed, that would ensure the best possible chance for you to play at a very high level for a long time. High level, maybe not, I can't guarantee high level as in skill wise, but the highest level of your physical capability. Most players I know say they want to play Kendama forever. But what happens if they have back pain and they're not aware of this? And they're not aware that they can actually reverse it. They can reverse their knee pain. There is a route to pain-free ability. What happens to these people that don't know that this exists? Well, they're going to stop playing. They're going to play less. They're going to progress way slower, if at all, because now when they play Kendama, they have a negative association with it because they're in pain and discomfort and inability. And I want to round this out really quick before I get to how you can train for Kendama by actually just hammering home the fact of adaptation. I want to touch on this again because adaptation and Kendama adaptation in the body is the same. You go for a single jumping stick. You try it once, you suck. You try twice, you suck. Try number three, you start to suck a little less. After a handful more tries, you start to get better, 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 better. And then you land it, you get good. It's almost like you were telling your body and brain to get better at this trick. So it happened. That's the exact same thing you're gonna be telling your body when you train physically for it. You have physical training involved. You're telling your body to maintain its ability and enhance its ability instead of deteriorating. Because if you're not telling it to do anything, it's going to deteriorate because modern lifestyle is telling it to deteriorate. If you tell your body to stay in shape, it will, and if you don't, it won't. And with that, I'm going to finally talk about how a person can train for Kendama, for life, and my favorite way of doing it. I recommend, if I were to give a general recommendation for anybody, I'd recommend following an ATG program called Knee Ability Zero. ATG is an acronym for Athletic Truth Group. This company was founded by Ben Patrick, more commonly known as Knees Over Toes Guy on the internet. And it is a zero equipment program done with just your body weight. All you need is a floor and a wall, 5 days a week, 20 to 30-minute sessions. I'm talking tibialis raise, straight and bent knee calf raises, reverse step ups, backwards walking. I love backwards walking, full range split squats, elephant walks, some stretches. These are all movements that build you from the ground up in a balanced way and focus on the muscles and tendons that modern life neglects the most. And I explain all of this and more in the ATG Zero program. I have it on a Google file, Google Doc. I recorded all the exercises. I give you the sets, reps, the frequency throughout the week, the schedule, everything. And in order to access it, just DM me ATG0 on Instagram. I'll link my Instagram in the description of this video and I'll send it to you for absolutely free. It's my favorite program to train for life in Kendama because again, the accessibility, you can't beat it. You do from home 20, 30 minutes a day, and you just put money in the bank. You put time in for the betterment of your movement ability, and your future self is guaranteed going to thank you for it. And of course, I'm always here as a resource for you guys. If you have any questions about the program, any questions how to do the exercises, if you want any form checks, please send me a message and I'll help you out as much as I can. I'm an ATG level 2 certified coach, so I can definitely help you with mastering these movements and getting you on a better path to a higher quality of physical life, which will benefit you in everything you do. So, yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Again, thank you so much for listening. Let's have a kick-ass 2024. It's going to be an amazing year this year, and start off right by getting on a program that will set you up for physical and movement success. See you guys in the next one. Peace.